Good evening.
By my house, you can see the lights on it.
Welcome to the Village of Westmont official Village Board voting meeting for March 5th, 2012. May I ask the clerk to take the roll call, please?
Mayor Ron,
Here.
the clerk's here. Trustee Emery.
Here.
Trustee Fleming.
Here.
Trustee Klebanow. Here. Trustee Nero.
Here.
Trustee Scott.
Here.
Trustee Seneca.
Here.
Manager Searle.
Here.
Attorney Zemanek.
Here.
Acting Finance Director Parker.
Here.
Public Works Director May.
Here. Sorry.
Gunther.
Here.
Acting Fire Chief Wise.
Here.
Community Development Director Malik.
Very good. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I said it in cadence. I said it in cadence. Replicate the minutes to.
First item, Village Board meetings. Board to consider approving the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held February 16th and Village Board meeting February 21st, 2012.
Motion to approve Seneca?
Second, Emery.
Questions? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Okay, reports. Mayor, I do not have anything right at this minute,
It might change.
But it might come up, right?
so get ready. Next, our village clerk.
I just have a couple of items. First of all, I want to remind everybody that the Adult Citizens Police Academy will start on March 14th, so if you intend to attend, please sign up either online or pick up a paper sheet from any of the public buildings. Secondly, again, I promise I'm not going to hammer on this too many more times, but
We'll see.
the new water bills have gone out to the east side of Cass Avenue. It is a shock. It is higher, but please don't call and badger us. There's nothing we can do about it. It's a pass-through from the Water Commission and the City of Chicago. And we are not, it has nothing to do with the village, so we're just passing on the cost.
I just got mine in the mail today. I'm afraid to open it.
I haven't seen it. My
At the
husband.
top of the pile.
And you haven't opened it
I
yet?
have not opened it.
I
Don't want to, trust
And I
me.
don't want to.
I do have a question on that though, Ginny. I just heard my husband say something, and he thought it read something about it was due to the extra money that we have to pay for DuPage, but he also said something about infrastructure. So it is up a little
There's
bit
a
because of
component.
infrastructure.
Well, we talked about the fact that we were going to
That's
evaluate the
$5.
rates
Yeah.
each year in terms of our ongoing infrastructure needs, but that's a small piece of it. The main driving increases is through the Water Commission and then ultimately the City of Chicago.
That's what I just want the people to realize, because when he saw that, I just said it's just a small amount. So I want to make sure
Very
people
It's
realize
still,
it's very.
you know,
And
don't
we
want
should be
people to think we're not
prepared because
gonna
it's going to continue.
system up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for
That's
sure.
part of that. It's not all being passed
Okay.
through, right?
Thank you.
This is just the beginning.
And it says it right on the bill, so
I
I
didn't see
just
it,
want
though.
them to understand what the really big charge is.
Okay,
So,
that's it.
oh, no, and I attended the play over the weekend, and the high school did a wonderful job. It was a delightful
All that talent.
production, yes. So I wanted to mention that, too. Okay, now I'm done, I promise.
Next, John Zemanek, our village attorney.
And I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Moving right along, village manager, Ron Searle.
Okay, just a couple of things. I wanted to follow up on the public forum we had earlier. We had a very successful, I think, public forum regarding the electric aggregation question that's going to come up on the ballot on March 20th. One of the questions that one of the trustees, Trustee Klebanow, asked at the end was, what exactly does the question on the ballot say? And just for the public's information, what it states is, shall the Village of Westmont have the authority to arrange for the supply of its electricity for its residential and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such program? I would urge everybody that is interested and wants more information, this broadcast will be available on our Comcast Channel 16 and on AT&T UVerse Channel 99, as well as on our Village's YouTube site. I asked our IT manager if he knew when it's going to be playing on the channels, and don't know the exact time yet, but it'll be playing, I think he said one specific time slot each day. But it'll be available on demand if you go to the YouTube site, if you want to view it there.
Ron, just a reminder to everyone, this was probably mentioned during the public forum, but the village cannot be an advocate for that referendum question.
Correct.
You can dispense information, so even if you get approached on the sidewalk or on your own, feel like speaking to someone, you can dispense information, but you can't advocate a position.
Right. And I think the forum did a good job of presenting information that explains it, and I think that in combination with what we have on our website gives a pretty good neutral understanding of what's going on. Okay, then the next thing I had is I wanted to introduce our Public Works Director, who had invited Paul Kruger, who's a Chief Highway Engineer with DuPage County, to talk a little bit about the 55th Street program that we mentioned on Thursday.
Yes, thank you. As you've all recognized, there's been a lot of, well, it actually was utility work going on 55th Street. And 55th Street itself is a DuPage County highway, and this construction project, this upcoming project, is that of the DuPage County Division of Transportation. I don't remember the date, it was 2 weeks ago tonight, there was a public meeting in Clarendon Hills, and at that meeting, it was fairly well attended. I was able to go to it before coming to the meeting here. And there was a good presentation of all the aspects of the construction project throughout its entire length, which is the whole length of Westmont as well as Clarendon Hills up to Route 83. Here tonight is Paul Kruger, the project engineer from DuPage Division of Transportation. He's going to give us an overview of that meeting and the features of the project that, as they pertain most to the Westmont.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, good evening. Again, my name is Paul Kruger. I'm the Chief Highway Engineer at DuPage County. Yes, we are finally going to build 55th Street. The rumors are finally true. Let me give you a brief history of the project. The whole thing started back in the mid-90s. Originally, it was to be totally reconstructed from Williams Street on the west to Holmes Avenue on the east. Fast forward to about 6 years ago, due to budget constraints, the project was downscoped to more or less the intersection improvement at Cass Avenue with the intersection improvement at Clarendon Hills Road with a robust resurfacing from one end to the other. At that time, it was decided to try and secure some federal funding for the project, which we were successful in doing. Again, it was not, okay, 6 years ago, fast forward to August of last year, the project was finally let through IDOT. James D. Fiala was the low bidder. The project came in at $4.4 million, of which $2.9 million of that is going to be federally funded, and DuPage County is going to pick up the rest of that money.
Okay.
As Steve mentioned, there is, since last fall, there has been ongoing utility relocation work out there. Hopefully that will get wrapped up within the next month or so, which brings us to the actual construction. Again, James D. Fiala is the general contractor. He is scheduled to start the first week of April. Hopefully all the utilities will be out of the way by then, with a scheduled completion date of end of October 2012. The first part of the project is going to involve some temporary widening down by Clarendon Hills Road, along with installing the temporary traffic signal at Cass Avenue. Once that's done, then we can start on the meat and potatoes of the construction. At that point, we will go into stage 2, which will involve constructing the south half of 55th Street along with the east half of Cass Avenue. And I do have a
He'll turn it on.
display here of the traffic control at the Cass Avenue intersection.
He'll adjust it, I think.
Wow. Technology.
Could you blow that up about 6 times? Just kidding, just kidding. Don't touch a thing.
He is making it bigger in there.
Just kidding.
Okay. So as you can see, the crosshatching on the south side of 55th Street right here is going to be the work zone. Traffic will be on the north side, down to 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane at the Cass Avenue intersection. Cass Avenue itself, the east side will be constructed first with through lanes north and south and a left turn lane at Cass Avenue. If all goes well, this should last until about midsummer, is my guess. And then we'll just flip it over and do the reverse. Put traffic on the south side of 55th Street, construct the north half and the west half of Cass. Again, it'll just be 1 lane in each direction with the turn lane at Cass Avenue. And hopefully, come end of October, this is what it will look like. Wrong way. With a new signal at Cass Avenue, and a left turn lane, opposing left turn lanes on 55th. There will be a right turn lane added on the south leg of Cass. I was out there at 7:30 in the morning the other day, and there is a heavy right turn movement northbound to eastbound, so that should help that congestion as well.
That's nice.
Normal timing point.
Right.
An actual functioning traffic light?
Yes.
All right.
Makes
You won't
sense.
have a split phase, meaning one half of 55th gets the green and the other half has to sit.
Yeah.
So it'll be a regular signalized intersection.
Nice.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Good.
Completion date?
Do you have any questions? End of October this year.
Can I ask you one question?
Halloween parade.
I'll ask it of you and ask it of Ron or any of the other staff.
Sure.
How many years has it been since we started discussion on redoing the intersection of 55th and Cass?
I'd say it's I first heard about it in the 80s when I started here.
1980.
Yeah.
The desire and the need to try to do it, but there was no project that I'm aware of really.
So just to let
In 1986.
you, just to
1986.
let you know,
Yeah.
and the people watching us tonight,
We've been trying.
we've been trying this for over 20 years, so everybody needs
Yeah.
to know, and we hope
been, yeah.
for sure that this is
Although
going to be our
Steve just-
lucky year. If we get complaints, that's pretty doggone close to the top of the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
it's
If you
great.
heard what our clerk said about calls about badgering, I think you should shoot for the end of October.
Yeah.
I just want to make note, too, that...
Or earlier.
a couple of those driveways heading north on Cass, you've had to obtain some extra right-of-way because you're actually going to have to help mitigate the steepness of them.
Correct. Correct.
And it looks like it's been revised. It looks like that first house is finally on there. The owners of that first house were in at the meeting when I was there, and
Yes.
that driveway had been skipped. So it looks like you might have it in there now. I don't know.
Yes, I believe this is their house.
Not
337, this one right here.
That's it.
Yeah, because the apartments
The
are
apartments are
347.
right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Mention the exact.
Yeah,
Yes.
it wasn't there. They
Okay.
didn't see their driveway when they went there, so.
It's there.
Yeah, I hope it's there. I don't know if it's 337 or if their address was 339.
When he's-
So you might want to, I don't have their address in front of me, but you might want to check it out.
337.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
It's going to be a great project when it's all completed.
Yeah.
So there will be, when, I'm just thinking though, when you're mitigating that portion, how are you running the traffic on Cass? You have only 3 lanes, so there's not going to be a left turn lane coming south on Cass?
No, there will be.
There will be. I mean, while you're working on the east
While
side.
you work, this is the work zone here on the east side.
Right. So you still
Oh.
have enough room to have a two-way plus a turn lane?
No, well, yeah, one lane, this is northbound, southbound, and then this is the left turn lane.
So you'll still have room for those people coming south to be able to make their left turn then?
Correct.
Same with north.
Okay, okay. I just thought it just seemed, because it's a tight turn now. When I'm turning to go up there, that's a tight turn already. That's a very
It
tight
is narrow.
area.
yes.
And I can't figure out how you're going to get 3 lanes. I think it's going to end up being,
Well, we're actually taking one lane out of service because,
well, that's what I'm saying. While that
The
lane is out of
existing
service,
is-
there'll only be 2 lanes then, right? How are the cars heading north on Cass while you're
4
working on
lanes
the east
now.
side?
It's 4 lanes now,
4
plus a
lanes
turn
now.
lane.
there's a
2, 3, okay, I get you. That's right. There's 2 going south.
2 south
And
and
then
a
1
left
left.
turn
Okay.
lane south.
So you're going to cut it to 3 lanes.
Right.
Okay, so there'll be 1 lane south or making a right turn, but you'll still have that left turn lane in there then?
Correct.
Okay, I got you. That's good. Thank you.
Other questions?
It's heading north.
Great. Toured past her house.
Uh-oh, we have a question from the fire department.
Uh-oh.
I'm in trouble.
Is it sprinklered?
Are you sprinkling it?
Sorry.
I just want to ask, when you do this, it's going to be a big challenge to public safety for police and fire department. And when you move the traffic controls and stuff, if the Opticon devices can stay to help us control the intersections?
Yes, they will go on the temporary signal.
Okay. And the second thing is, I don't know if your flaggers or your people that are be controlling traffic, when they hear us coming, will be able to assist us in any way with stopping traffic. So, because this is going to be a big challenge for us. We probably go through that intersection 6 to 10 times a day. Fire department wise, I don't know how many times the police department does. So it's
Well, Dunkin' Donuts.
going to be a big challenge. So whatever assistance you can give us, we appreciate it.
Yes.
They never go far.
Okay, thank you.
We have one.
In fact, if you're more than welcome to come to the progress meetings. They'll be weekly.
Okay.
If you have a card, I could
Yeah. Put you down.
put you on the list.
Great.
Put them at the top of the
Near
list,
the
because
top.
that's very important.
Okay.
Let us know what they say. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
How about some cards from our PD? For him,
A business card.
when he leaves. Thank you.
Excellent,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Cards for me and John for the
Steve?
people that don't stop.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Here he comes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you will be. But not as bad as.
Okay,
That's good, I'm glad we did that.
there's one thing I forgot to announce.
We knew it was coming.
I started, and that is that there is no request this evening for an executive session.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Next item,
We like that.
variance request, 650 Pasquinelli
We
Drive.
have this other.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Unless you want to do it at the end, I'll be happy to do it at the end.
No, that's right, I'm sorry. That was only point A. Point B.
Okay. As soon as I get connection here, I'm going to try to use our Google Docs to give you a brief presentation update on our climate action plan. First of all, what is this? The mayor in 2010 created a task force, which was a mixture of citizens and staff members to follow through on a commitment that was made to the U.S. Conference of Mayors regarding their climate protection agreement. On that task force, we had a couple of former Environmental Improvement Commission members. We had kind of chairing the whole project. George Hamper, who also actually works for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and he's always been a very valuable asset to our various environmental efforts here in the community, as well as Glenn Gabriel, who was a longtime participant on our environmental and our recycling commission. And then we also had the assistance of a resident, Robin Reed, who is active in the local Sierra Club chapter. There were a variety of different staff members that helped in this project. The main ones that were very regular in their participation included Public Works Director Steve May, Acting Finance Director Spencer Parker, Facilities Manager Mike Chorney, and on occasion, Larry McIntyre also sat in to help with some of the discussion about publicity. The background on this is that on December 7th, 2009, the US EPA made a finding that the global warming endangers the health and welfare of current and future generations. And the reason they did this was because of a 2007 Supreme Court decision in which they were required to study the issue and make that finding. So the U.S. Conference of Mayors put together this program and asked mayors across the country, and Mayor Ron in 2007 signed a pledge to this climate protection agreement. I won't go into a lot of the detail of what that entails, but I would urge anybody, it's on our website, and I'll make sure it's more prominently displayed, but this is the final product, this report, which is probably about 37, 38 pages of the task force. This is their final report. There's a lot of good background information in here. I'm just going to go over a couple of other quick key points, and then I'll kind of give an update of what we've done and what I think we need to do to improve as we go forward. Okay, so why is this, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about climate and impact on climate is greenhouse gases. And one of the things that's talked about pretty extensively in this study, and again, a lot of the work that went into this, the credit goes to George Hamper. He did a great job of researching, footnoting, and providing real credible sources on his information. But the main greenhouse gases that we talk about or care about when we talk about greenhouse gases, the big one, of course, is carbon monoxide, which represents about 85% of those gases. Methane is the second biggest, and nitrous oxide. And then three others: hydrofluorocarbons, purofluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluorides, which represent about 2.1%. And I just wanted to see if I could actually pronounce those. So I included those, and I think I did okay. But these are the gases that cause the heat trapping effect that many of us think and believe, is causing some of the very erratic and drastic swings in our weather these days. So the U.S. Conference of Mayors, in their action plan, they came up with 12 different steps that they suggested the community should follow. The first one is to inventory city operations, emissions, set targets, and create an action plan. That was really the task that the task force undertook. And again, I can't overemphasize the amount of work that went into just the inventory aspect of it. I know George Hamper spent a lot of time going through our records. I know he worked with Mike Chorney on our facilities, looking at our usage records. I know he worked a lot with Spencer Parker as well in putting that information together, and that took quite a bit of time. And in the plan, there are targets set in terms of the reduction, which actually coincide with this year. And the original goal by the U.S. Conference of Mayors was a reduction of about 12%, I want to say, 8% by 2012. I'm sorry, 7%. And the idea was to a 7% reduction below the 2000 level by 2012. Well, the problem that the task force found out pretty quickly it's hard to get really accurate data, first of all, for 2000. So I think they went back and used a benchmark, and they had to get a lot of information from Commonwealth Edison and NICOR. I think it goes all the way back to 1990. So we had to do some estimating, or the task force did, in terms of coming up with some of the targets that were set. And then the next piece was to create the action plan, which again is this document here. Again, you know, the task force delivered this in August of 2010. One of the things they asked that be done is that annually there be an update given to the board and to the public in terms of how we're working towards the different recommendations in this plan. The next piece was to adopt and enforce land use regulations, policies. A lot of those many communities already have in place. Those are things that, as you know, we continue to look at. We're looking at them now in terms of our comprehensive plan and some of our other community development initiatives. Promoting transportation options. Number 4 was increase use of clean alternative energy. 5, make energy efficiency a priority. Purchase only Energy Star appliances and equipment. Practice, promote sustainable building practices. Improve municipal fleet operations. Evaluate opportunities with water and wastewater systems if you have them. Increase recycling rates. Maintain healthy urban forests, and continue to educate. So these were the charges that came out of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and the task force tried to figure out the best way to implement this. And what they did is they broke it into 2 categories. One is community strategies, and the other is municipal operations. I'm not going to spend a lot on time on community strategies because in the end, the decision by the task force was to try to focus on using the topics under the community strategies as education points that should be, there should be regular ongoing education out to the public about these different opportunities. And on here I've got the main categories on the presentation. Under transportation, the sub-bullet points that the task force came up with included fuel economy, alternative fuels, walking and biking, telecommuting, public transit, and transit-oriented development. And again, the idea was to try to develop information to help the public take advantage or try to improve in these areas as citizens. Under buildings, community strategies include heating and air conditioning, improving insulation, new construction and renovation, alternative electric sources, lighting and appliances, and water conservation. Again, some of these things can be done through some policy changes, but the task force, recognized that. But again, the short term was let's try to educate and help people understand why we need to be sensitive to this issue. Solid waste, the subpoints that the task force talked about were yard waste, recycling, and then a heading called industry. They talked about process efficiencies, and what they meant with this is if we could provide information to specific industries, say, for example, manufacturing, that might help the ownership understand here's some things that you can do as a manufacturer to try to help improve the emissions into the air and our air quality. And then the last point, adaptation, the task force identified planting of trees. Our municipal urban forest. Now, under municipal operations, we have the same main headings, but it's a much smaller grouping of categories that the task force asked us to look at. Under transportation, the task force talked about our anti-idling policy, fuel economy, looking at alternative fuels for our vehicles. For our buildings, they talked about conducting energy audits, and they also talked about any kind of new construction that the village might have. It'd be very critical to make sure we design those buildings so that they take advantage of the most up-to-date technologies for energy efficiency. Solid waste, what can we do to try to improve office paper recycling? And industry category, the one area they identified was traffic signals and street lighting. What can we do to help improve energy efficiency use of that? And then the last category under adaptation, again, was planting trees or urban forests. So I wanted to briefly go through kind of the highlights of some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in this little over a year that we've been charged with this, trying to carry out this, project. I first want to talk about community strategies. I'm not going to go through each of the different bullet points because, again, the focus was on education. But I wanted to mention a couple of things that were noted and what I did, just so the board understands, is I asked each of the departments to look at the various subpoints in the report and give me a report what they've accomplished in terms of carrying out the direction that was given by the task force. So some of this, or all this stuff came back from them in terms of what they were able to accomplish. Some comments that I got back from the street division that would fall under the category of solid waste and yard waste, which became a real issue this past summer because we had a number of significant storms this past summer. We had a nearly summer-long chipping program. They wanted to make sure people understood that what the village did during that period of time was we hired an outside vendor to haul away the chips for recycling into treated mulch and items that would use wood as a byproduct. Another aspect of that recycling, as we know, and we talked about at some of our other committee meetings, and I'll talk about a little bit later with the emerald ash borer infestation, that's also provided another source of chipping product that continues to be handled in a similar fashion. Under the recycling category, one of the big impacts or changes that's happened since this report is put out is, and the board was part of this, was the renegotiation of the waste hauling contract. And one of the main goals was to try to create a system that would help promote greater recycling. And that was, one of the thoughts and goals that the task force had. So with the new cart system that's been implemented, the challenge continues to be to educate people, to try it if they haven't, or use it more if they aren't, and that's something that we'll carry forward. This past year, also in partnership with DuPage County and Waste Management, this was an initiative that really was being originated with DuPage County. They went across the county, looked at commercial recycling rates, and visited the various communities and tried to develop strategies to help try to promote greater participation in commercial recycling. And that's something that we've been trying to work this past year on an education program to help encourage more commercial entities to take advantage of recycling through either the opportunities that Waste Management provides or one of the other licensed recyclers that we have. As you'll recall, back in the spring, we did a village-wide recycling contest, and one of the purposes of that was to draw attention, to the opportunities. Under the municipal operations, under the transportation category, again, our anti-idling policy is something that we continue to try to emphasize to our employees. It's something that through our executive safety committee that meets on a regular basis, we continue to talk about, the responsibility of the various departments and the divisions to adhere to the guidelines in that anti-idling policy. Obviously, with gas prices, fuel prices continuing to go up, these kinds of things become more and more important. Fuel economy, we did not purchase any new vehicles this past year, but we will determine, if there's an opportunity this coming budget year, we'll continue to evaluate opportunities to eliminate some of our vehicles. This past year, for example, we went to a pool car with Clerks IT and Community Development. I do want to mention I'll get to that in a minute. Under alternative fuels, as I said just a moment ago, we didn't order any new vehicles this year. However, we had trucks that were on order from the fiscal year 2010-11 fiscal year, and all of those were switched over to biodiesel. And that will allow us to get more miles per gallon. That was one of the recommendations, of course, of the task force, was to look at alternative fuels, and that's one of those. All of our vehicles for the police department have E85 capability. That is the alternative fuel that we're looking to move towards. One of our further challenges, and it continues to be a discussion in our budget process, is trying to provide a more local opportunity for fueling. Right now, our only fueling center, I believe, is in Downers Grove, and obviously that's not as convenient as it could be, and there's a cost, of course, in driving to that facility. So that's something we continue to look at in the budget process. As the board knows, because I know you've gotten regular updates to the Public Works Committee, we've done a lot of work with energy audits, and our facilities division has done a lot of work over the last really almost 2 years on that. It started with a Smart Energy Design Center audit of the police department, in which they came up with a number of recommendations for lighting upgrades. This CDAC Center is actually a center that provides these free audits. The only requirement is that in order to get another one done, you've got to get the recommendations completed on the last one. Since we have recently completed the police department / fire department 500 North Cass, we will be looking to CDAC to try to do another audit of our buildings and try of another facility and try to move forward in that area. As you, again, through the Public Works Committee, you've heard and you've approved purchase orders here. We've been working with a supplier by the name of Twin Supplies, who has looked at fixtures in both our Public Works and Streets facilities and is working with the village on other grants and retrofits in terms of our lighting to, again, improve energy efficiency and hopefully save money and impact, have less of an impact on the environment ultimately. Under the subheading of heating and air conditioning, we just, over the past year, we installed an Energy Star 90 plus efficient furnace. No, it was installed in the fall of 2011 at the street division. We also had in July an Energy Star air conditioning unit that was installed at Public Works, and this replaced the 18-year-old R22 Freon, which is no longer used to cool those devices. Under lighting and appliances, we applied in 2011 with DECIO and the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Program to change out all the T12 bulbs and ballasts to T8 in police and fire building. The projected savings annually on that change out is $6,000. Again, those savings translate in less use, so hopefully less energy having to be generated, which again is good for the climate. Currently, we've entered into an agreement with, as I mentioned, Twin Supplies to retrofit the apparatus bay at 500 North Cass with energy efficient lighting, and the fire headquarters at 6015 Cass with T8 bulbs and ballasts. And they will continue to look at other opportunities to help us retrofit and apply for grants. Also had a note that the facility supervisor has done so and will continue. He's always looking for grant opportunities. Some of the other areas he's been looking for are pedestrian lighting and parking lot lighting. So those are things that we need to continue to work on. One of the pieces that I got back from kind of our non-operating departments here at the Village Hall is we've noticed kind of a voluntary conservation practice going on in different departments here. whether it's, turning lights off, even during the day when it's not necessary, or, making sure they get turned off in areas that they're, aren't being occupied. I can't count the number of times I heard comments over the last year. People come up in our area and they say, how come it's dark or it's vacant up here? Well, in part, we're trying to do our part to save and
Particularly his office.
Yeah.
I know.
It's always dark.
But it's going on in other departments as well, and we've also installed some automatic switches in some of the
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
different areas too.
Motion detector cut.
Under the solid waste category, we continue to leverage, and part of this ties into the committee discussion we had earlier, the use of technology to try to improve or lessen our use of paper. I personally, and I think many of the staff here know how excited I am about Google Documents. I've forced all of them to kind of come along with me in terms of the packet preparation process. But I really do believe it has helped us use less paper. It's streamlined the process. It's made it much more efficient. And I think, I believe we're printing less copies just because, it's all being put in there electronically. It's being reviewed by multiple people electronically. I think we're getting a better consistent product, and that's something we're continuing, as Google Docs develops, gets more robust, we think there's going to be greater opportunity to use it even more. One thing that in fairness, I guess, to sort of represent the other side, we're scanning more. So, that uses electricity, so maybe there's some trade-off there. I don't know how to quantify it, but that is something that we do quite a bit of these days.
Scan it in the dark?
We can, actually, and I do.
Well, then it's a wash.
I know where those buttons are, closing my eyes.
It's the flashlights from the IMO.
And as I wanted to mention too, I guess for the public's benefit, because this was talked about at the committee meeting earlier, the board continues to have interest in having all the board packets available electronically so that we're not printing the big bulky packets. And that is something we got direction from earlier this evening from our Administration Finance Committee, is to look at moving us there sooner this fiscal year than next year. So we'll be working on that project. Some industry-type categories where we've had some improvements. And I remember this was something we talked about at the task force level, but prior to 2011, all of the traffic signals that are already under our jurisdiction were converted to LED, which is an energy saver. This is something we continue to work on in terms of, a lot of these things get down to budgetary items in terms of where they fall as priorities, but it is something we continue to look at as we move forward, opportunities to improve our street lighting in terms of energy efficiency. Street maintenance, again, some of these things are more conservation oriented, but I thought they were important to note because these are things that demonstrate that our employees do take these issues seriously, and these are some things that some of our division employees have done on their own. In street maintenance, we use 2 different de-icing agents that are less corrosive to regular road salt. That's beet juice and this Geo Melt blend. And it kind of ties into the climate because with the less salt on the street, there's less of a negative impact on the vegetation. And as we know, vegetation helps with some of the greenhouse gases. In the sign shop, they've switched to non-aerosol soy-based remover products, which are less harsh on the environment. They've also changed a number of other chemical agents that are more environmentally friendly. In the water division, they've partnered with several organizations this past year to promote water conservation in Westmont. And again, how does this relate to climate? The less water that's used, the less pumps our pumps have to generate, the less energy we have to use. Some of these programs have included Rain Barrels program that we did. We hosted a Fix a Leak program. They wanted to mention the water main replacement integrity program. And again, you know, you ask, how does that relate to climate? Well, if we don't have to go out and fix our main and, you know, deploy trucks and drive out there, that's a good impact on the environment. We replaced 4,100 feet of cast iron water main on West Burlington and 2,300 feet on North Lincoln this past year, and we surveyed all 91 miles of the village as part of the village-wide leak detection program to test the integrity of the system. And only out of that process, they only found 5 small leaks. So again, you know, we think our system is in pretty good shape. You know, we talked about part of that water component cost on your rate does go towards infrastructure improvement. So there's that benefit to, you know, to keep sound integrity in the system so that we don't have to go out and deploy trucks and run motors and things to impact the environment. Also, the water division treatment roof was replaced with a new membrane-style roof that is more energy efficient for that particular building. The last item I wanted to mention under the municipal strategies is, again, going back to the urban forest discussion. We've had a lot of discussions about this in the past year or so. We've had discussions at committee level. We've had residents come in and meet with us recently. The big issue this past couple of years has been the emerald ash borer and the devastation that's caused to some of our urban forest, in particular in the Oakwood and Ashford subdivisions. There was a time in the late 80s, mid-90s, we were planting 200 trees a year, and we were having difficulty, you know, finding locations to put them in the parkway. We were actually talking about, you know, trying to change some of our criteria in terms of how close they could be planted to try to accommodate that. Of course, as we all know, with the change in our economic environment, it's become more of a challenge to continue our tree planting program, and this is something that, you know, we're looking at alternative sources. We have looked at grant opportunities the last 2 years. We're a little disappointed this year, or this week, actually, we got notification that we did not get a grant that we were trying to seek to help with the emerald ash borer project. That's something we'll probably talk a little bit more about during the budget process. But we are looking at changing some of our policies to maybe provide greater flexibility for willing residents to help participate if they want to help pay for trees, or we've even had some residents talk about doing some fundraisers to help contribute. So it is something we continue to work on, but again, like many things, the challenge gets down to money. So that is it. I hope I didn't go on too long. And I'll be happy to answer any questions or comments. We'll put this on the website, and this will, as I kind of indicated at the beginning, this will be something we do every year using the same framework to try to give you a report on how we're improving.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Really nice work on that. They did a nice job.
Excellent.
It goes to the departments. They
Good job.
No questions?
They took it seriously, take it seriously.
Great work, not only by you, but all the staff. All the
And our
departments.
volunteers.
Thank you. We'll reap
Stuff in there.
the profits down the road. Thank you. New business. Special use permit request, 226 North Cass. Or to consider ordinances approving the following requests in order to operate a dance studio in the B1 Limited Business District. Point A, special use permit, and point B, development permit.
Motion to approve A, Fleming.
Second, Scott.
Discussion? Roll call on point A.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Okay. Point B.
So move Seneca?
Second, Scott.
Question? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, variance request 650 Pasquinelli Drive. Board to consider ordinances approving the following request from COD, College of DuPage. A, zoning code variance request to permit an off-premises sign, and B, fee waiver request.
Motion
To approve A,
Scott.
Fleming.
Second, Nero.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Abstain.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Point B.
Motion to approve, Fleming.
Second, Nero.
Question? Roll call.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Abstain.
Trustee, I forgot where it was, Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Next item, variance request 55 East 63rd Street. Board to consider an ordinance granting a zoning code variance request from the Culture Center of TECO, T-E-C-O in Chicago, to increase the number of allowable signs from 1 to 2.
Motion to approve, Emery?
Second, Scott.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, variance request 39 North Cass. Board to consider ordinances approving request from West Suburban Funeral Home for the following. A zoning code variance to increase the number of allowable signs, and B, zoning code variance to increase the maximum gross square footage. And Shannon has the latest update for us. Shannon?
Thank you. Based on the feedback at Committee of the Whole last Thursday evening, the applicants have reached out to their contractor, their sign contractor, who installed the original 2 signs there, and they have an appointment with him. They couldn't get him in until this coming Thursday, so they've respectfully asked if they could reappear at a subsequent meeting if we could postpone this. They were both unavailable for the 15th. They're available for the 29th, so if it's the board's pleasure, they'd be happy to reappear with their compromise solution on the 29th.
Motion to postpone to the 29th, Emery?
Second, Nero.
Any further question? Roll call on the postpone.
Trustee Emery?
Yes, on points A and B.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, Village Ordinance, Section 78-511B2, Vehicle Seizure and Impoundment. Board to consider an ordinance amending that section, 78-511B2, Vehicle Seizure and Impoundment, to specify that no vehicle may be towed or impounded if the driver's license of the driver is suspended for an unpaid citation or for failure to comply with emissions testing.
Motion to approve, Emery?
Second, Fleming.
Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Next item, declaration of village property as surplus. Board to consider an ordinance declaring certain police equipment as surplus property. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, Emery?
Second, Nero.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Thank you. 2012 zoning map. Board to consider an ordinance approving the revised official map of the Village of Westmont dated December 31st, 2011 as the 2012 zoning map.
Motion to approve, Seneca?
Second, Emery?
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, audit firm selection. Board to consider an ordinance approving the selection of the village's independent audit firm for fiscal year 2011, 2012, fiscal year 2012-2013, and fiscal year 2013-14, and directing staff to execute an engagement letter.
Motion to approve, Emery.
Second, Nero.
Discussion.
And just to confirm, that's Baker Tilly.
Baker
Although it's
Tilly.
not stated on the agenda, it's stated in the ordinance.
But
Roll call. Question.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
yes.
Thank you. Next item, DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference of Legislative Action Program. Board to consider a resolution endorsing the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference 2012 Legislative Action Program.
Motion to approve, Emery.
Second Seneca?
Roll call.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, residency waiver. Board to consider a motion approving a waiver of the residency requirement of the village's personnel code for a part-time code enforcement official.
So move Seneca?
Second, Scott.
Questions? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, finance ordinance number 21.
Before I read that, can I quickly mention to the residents and everyone sitting here that early voting has started, and I forgot to mention that before. So it has started, and probably your closest precinct is?
Downers.
Quit laughing, Downers Grove.
Police station. Downers, over here by the police station in Downers.
Village Hall.
And it's always also at the Village Hall.
Village Hall.
Oh, we
yeah.
have it too?
Yep. Well, the police station and the Village Hall are
They're
right by.
shared buildings, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
Okay.
go.
Anyway, the finance ordinance tonight on this 5th day of March 2012 is $912,507.50.
Motion to approve Seneca?
Second, Emery.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Thank you. Purchase orders.
Motion to approve as a block for $20,106.76.
Second, Emery.
Discussion? Roll call on purchase orders.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Yeah, unless there's something else to come before the board this evening, because we do not have a request for an executive session, I will
Accept
accept
as a miracle.
motion to adjourn.
So moved, Emery.
Second Seneca?
Roll call.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in, and thank all the staff for being here this evening and other interested parties.